Welcome to the Listen and Sleep channel. Get comfortable. Let your body relax. Release the tension in your shoulders, your neck, your face. Let your breathing become smooth and calm. Today, we will journey to the east, to ancient China, to the place where people learned to read the language of wind and water, to where the art of living in harmony with space was born. Imagine mountains, ancient, covered in mist. They have stood for thousands of years, motionless, silent. But if you listen closely, you can hear them breathing, slow, deep, like the inhale and exhale of a sleeping giant. These mountains remember the times when the first wise men began to notice what is hidden from ordinary sight. They saw how wind curves around the slopes, how water finds its path between stones, how trees grow lush and free in some places, while in others they wither and die. And they asked themselves the question, why? This is how Feng Shui was born. Two simple words, wind and water, Feng and Shui. But behind this simplicity lies an entire universe of knowledge, millennia of observations, generations of masters passing their secrets from teacher to student. And tonight, lying in your bed, you will touch this wisdom, not to memorize formulas and rules, but to feel, to understand at the level of body, at the level of breath. The history of Feng Shui begins so long ago that it is impossible to name an exact date. More than 5,000 years ago, when China was not yet a unified state, when tribes lived along great rivers and at the foot of mountains, people were already searching for special places, places where life went well, where children were born healthy, where harvests were bountiful, where families prospered from generation to generation. And they noticed a pattern. Not all places are the same. There are those where everything comes easily, and there are those where even the most hard-working people fail again and again. The first Feng Shui masters did not call themselves by this word. They were shamans, priests, advisors to chiefs. Their task was to find the right place for a village, for a temple, for an ancestral tomb. Yes, especially for tombs, because in ancient China, people believed that the spirits of the dead continue to influence the fate of the living. And if you bury an ancestor in the wrong place, their spirit will be restless, unhappy, and this unhappiness will pass to the entire family, to all descendants. That is why choosing a burial site was a matter of greatest importance. Emperors spent years searching for the ideal place for their tombs. They sent entire expeditions of masters who explored mountains and valleys, studied the direction of rivers, observed the shape of hills, searched for that one place where the energy of the earth would be most favorable, where the wind did not blow too strongly, but did not stagnate either, where water flowed smoothly, not too fast and not too slow. You can imagine these ancient masters. They walk along a mountain path in simple clothes, with a staff in hand, their faces calm and focused. They are not in a hurry. They listen to the wind in the treetops, listen to the murmur of a stream, listen to the silence between sounds, and in this silence they find answers. This place is good. Here energy gathers and nourishes all living things, but here it dissipates, leaves, gets lost in space. Over time, observations accumulated, passed from mouth to mouth, recorded on bamboo tablets and silk scrolls. Rules and principles formed, schools were born, and the simple art of choosing a place turned into a complex system of knowledge. The system we call Feng Shui today. But what did these ancient observers see? What did they understand about the world that others did not? They understood the main thing. Everything is connected. Person and land, home and landscape, inner and outer. You cannot live separately from the place you are in. The place affects you every day, every minute, even when you do not notice it. Think about your home, about the room you are lying in now. You have spent hundreds of hours here, thousands of hours. You breathed this air, looked at these walls, heard these sounds, and all this time the space was working for you or against you, supporting your energy or taking it away, helping you rest or preventing you from recovering. The ancient Chinese called this invisible force Qi. We will talk about it in more detail later, But for now, just feel. There is something greater than what the eyes see. There is a flow, movement, the breath of space. And Feng Shui is the art of tuning into this breath, hearing it, understanding it, and using it for your benefit. The first treatises on Feng Shui appeared about 3,000 years ago. They described ideal landscape forms, mountains behind for protection, water in front for the inflow of energy, hills on the sides like an embrace holding favorable qi. These principles seem simple, but behind them are centuries of observations, thousands of stories about families who prospered or were ruined depending on where their house stood. The Han imperial dynasty, which ruled more than 2,000 years ago, already had an entire staff of court geomancers. That is what Feng Shui masters are sometimes called. Geomancers, diviners of the earth. They consulted rulers on all important matters: where to build a new palace, how to position the city gates, which direction the emperor's throne should face. No serious decision was made without their advice. And common people adopted this knowledge for their own needs. A peasant built his house so that the door faced a favorable direction. A merchant placed his shop in a place where many people passed. But energy did not dissipate too quickly. A mother chose a room for her child where there was more light and fresh air. All these small decisions added up to a big picture, a picture of harmonious life. Of course, not everything in ancient Feng Shui was pure wisdom. As in any ancient tradition, there are superstitions here, exaggerations, fears. Sometimes rules contradict each other. Sometimes recommendations seem strange to modern people. We will talk about this honestly. We will separate working principles from empty rituals, because the goal is not to blindly follow ancient rules. The goal is to understand the essence, to grasp the principle, and to apply it in your life. Feng Shui is not magic. It is not mysticism in the way that esoteric enthusiasts understand it. It is observation. Careful, subtle observation of how space affects a person, how light, form, the arrangement of objects change our well-being, our productivity, our sleep, our relationships. These are all very real things, and the ancient Chinese learned to notice and use them. Today, thousands of years later, Feng Shui has undergone many transformations. It was banned in China during the Cultural Revolution, declared a superstition and a relic of the past. But it survived, preserved in Hong Kong and Taiwan, spread throughout the world, and now it is experiencing a new birth. Architects and designers study its principles. Scientists research what works in it and why, and millions of people apply it in their homes and offices. You too can learn to see space in a new way. You do not need to become a master. You do not need to study complex formulas. Just start noticing how you feel in different rooms, where you are comfortable and where you feel anxious, where you are drawn to sit and where you want to leave. This is the first step. Awareness, attention to your sensations. And then we will add knowledge, tools, understanding. Close your eyes. Imagine those ancient mountains again, mist between the peaks, wind carrying the scent of pine resin. Somewhere below, a river flows. You cannot see it, but you can hear it. The soft, soothing sound of water over stones. In this place, everything is in balance, everything in its place. Mountains protect from harsh northern winds. The river carries fresh energy. The sun warms the southern slopes, and a person living here feels part of this harmony. This is Feng Shui in its original form, not a set of rules about where to put a dragon figurine, not a list of what you cannot do in the bedroom, but a deep understanding of the connection between person and place, between the inner world and outer space, between the breath of the body and the breath of the earth. There is a word you have already heard, qi, a small word, just two sounds, but behind it stands one of the deepest ideas ever to arise in human consciousness, the idea that everything in the world is permeated by an invisible force, a force that gives life, that moves clouds and makes grass grow, that flows in your veins and fills your breath. Try to feel this right now. Place your hand on your chest. Feel how it rises and falls. This is not just air entering and leaving your lungs. This is qi, life energy, It enters you with every inhale, spreads through your body, nourishes every cell, and leaves with your exhale, carrying away what is no longer needed. The ancient Chinese observed this for thousands of years. They saw qi everywhere. In the morning, mist rising above the river. In the steam coming from hot tea. In the breath of a sleeping child. In the movement of wind between trees. They understood that the same force permeates everything. Heaven and earth, mountains and rivers, plants and animals, and humans too. The word qi cannot be precisely translated into other languages. Sometimes they say energy, sometimes life force, sometimes breath or spirit. But none of these words fully conveys what the ancient masters want. Qi is both matter and energy at the same time. It can be dense, like stone, and subtle, like thought. It can stagnate and become heavy, or flow freely and carry life. Imagine a river, a clear, transparent mountain river. It flows between stones, babbles, sparkles in the sun. Fish swim in its waters. Trees on the banks reach toward it with their roots. Everything around lives thanks to this river. Now imagine that the river stopped, stagnated. The water became murky. An unpleasant smell appeared. The fish left. The trees began to wither. The same water, but it stopped moving, and life around it faded. Qi works the same way in space. When it flows freely, space lives. People in it feel good. They have strength. It is easy for them to think and act. Relationships develop harmoniously. Things go successfully. But when qi stagnates, everything changes. A feeling of heaviness appears. Fatigue that does not go away even after sleep. Irritability, conflicts, illness, failure. Feng Shui masters learned to see how qi moves in any space. They would enter a house and immediately feel where energy flows well and where it stagnates, where it is too fast and sharp, where too slow and sluggish. And they knew how to fix it, how to direct the flow, how to strengthen it where needed, and slow it down where it is too swift. You too can learn to feel this. In fact, you already feel it. You just do not call it qi. Remember places where you felt good, where you felt alive and full of strength. Maybe it was a seashore, or a forest clearing, or a cozy cafe in an old town. Something in these places attracted you, made you return. That was good qi. Now remember places where you felt uncomfortable, where you wanted to leave as soon as possible. Maybe it was some office with long corridors and flickering lights, or an acquaintance's apartment where you could never relax, or a shopping mall where after an hour of wandering you felt drained. That was bad chai, stagnant, or too sharp, or simply absent. Qi moves like water and wind, hence the name Feng Shui. Wind and water. Wind carries qi. Water collects and holds it. Where wind is too strong, qi disperses. Where water stagnates, qi becomes dirty. The ideal place is where wind is gentle and water is clean and flowing. Where energy comes, stays long enough to nourish the space, and leaves, making room for new energy. In your home, chai enters through doors and windows. It moves along corridors, fills rooms, swirls around furniture, lingers in corners, flows out through other doors and windows. This flow never stops. Even when you sleep, qi continues to move around you. And the quality of this movement affects the quality of your sleep, your dreams, how you wake up in the morning. There are several simple signs of good qi. Fresh air, pleasant natural light, a sense of spaciousness even in a small room, cleanliness and order, living plants, pleasant scents, silence or soft natural sounds. When all this is present, qi flows freely, and you feel good. Signs of bad chai are also easy to notice. Stale air, musty smell, dim or too harsh lighting, mess and clutter, sharp corners pointing at resting places, long, narrow corridors where energy accelerates like wind in a gorge, dark corners where it stagnates like water in a swamp. All these are signs that the flow is disrupted. But do not be alarmed. Feng Shui is not a sentence. It is a tool. almost any space can be improved. Sometimes small changes are enough. Rearrange furniture, add light, remove excess. Hang a mirror to expand a narrow place. Put a plant to enliven a dead corner. Each such action changes the flow of qi, and you immediately feel the difference. Later, we will examine specific techniques for each room. Learn how to organize a bedroom for good sleep, how to set up a workspace for productivity, how to make the kitchen a source of well-being. But for now, the main thing is to understand the general principle. Qi must flow, freely but not too fast, gently but not stagnating, like a river that carries life to everything that grows on its banks. But qi is not just a flow, not just the movement of energy from one point to another. The ancient masters noticed that qi takes different forms, different qualities. They saw 5 different states in it, 5 elements, or 5 phases, as they are sometimes called: wood, fire, earth, metal, water. Each element carries its own energy, its own character, its own way of manifesting in the world. Imagine a spring forest. Young shoots push through last year's leaves. Trees fill with sap. Branches reach up and out. Everything grows. Everything strives for light. This is the energy of wood. Growth, expansion, outward movement, flexibility and persistence at the same time. Wood does not break in the wind. It bends and straightens again. It finds its way to the sun, even through cracks in rocks. In your home, the energy of wood lives in plants, in wooden furniture, in green color, in vertical lines and tall objects. When you need growth, new beginnings, development, strengthen the wood element in your space. Put a living plant. Choose green shades for walls or textiles. Add vertical elements and feel how the desire for life awakens. Now imagine a summer noon. The sun is at its zenith. Heat rises from the scorched earth. Everything is filled with light and warmth. This is the energy of fire. Maximum activity, passion, joy. Fire knows no halftones. It burns brightly or does not burn at all. It warms and illuminates, but it can also burn if there is too much of it. Fire in the home is candles and fireplace, red and orange colors, sharp angles and triangular shapes, bright light and shiny surfaces. When you need energy, inspiration, passion for life, strengthen the fire element. Light candles, add warm tones, let in more light. But be careful. Too much fire leads to anxiety and insomnia. In the bedroom, it is better to dim it. After noon, the sun begins to set. The heat subsides. Harvest time comes. Time to gather the fruits of what was sown in spring. This is the energy of earth. Center, stability, reliability. Earth does not move like wood or fire. It receives, holds, nourishes. Without earth, seeds will not sprout. Without earth, fire has nothing to burn on. In the home, earth manifests through yellow and brown tones, through square and rectangular shapes, through low, stable furniture, through ceramics and stone. When you need stability, when life is too chaotic and you are losing ground under your feet, strengthen the earth element. Add warm, earthy tones. Put ceramic vases. Choose heavy, solid furniture. And feel how the sense of support returns. Autumn. Leaves fall. Trees prepare for winter. Everything contracts, condenses, concentrates. This is the energy of metal. Contraction, structure, clarity. Metal is cold and hard. It cuts and separates. It creates boundaries and forms. Without metal, the world would be formless chaos. Metal brings order. In space, metal is white and gray colors, round and oval shapes. Of course, metal objects, frames, lamps, handles. When you need clarity of thinking, when you need to bring order to thoughts and affairs, strengthen the metal element. Add white color. Remove excess. Create clean lines and empty space. And feel how the mind becomes clearer. And finally, winter. Snow covers the earth. Rivers freeze under ice. But deep beneath the ground, water continues to flow. Invisible, unstoppable. This is the energy of water. Depth, wisdom, the ability to find a way around any obstacle. Water is softer than stone, but over time it wears down rocks. Water takes the shape of any vessel, but preserves its essence. Water in the home is blue and black colors, wavy, flowing lines, mirrors and glass, fountains and aquariums. When you need depth, the ability to reflect, connection with intuition, strengthen the water element. Add dark blue shades. Hang a mirror. Put a small fountain. And feel how inner space deepens. The 5 elements do not exist separately from each other. They are connected in an eternal dance. In the cycle of generation and the cycle of control. Understanding these cycles opens a deep layer of Feng Shui, a layer where elements interact, support, or limit each other. The generation cycle begins with wood. Wood burns and feeds fire. Fire burns everything to ash and creates earth. Earth in its depths gives birth to ore, metal. Metal, when cooled, becomes covered with dew. Water. Water nourishes roots and gives life to wood. The circle closes. Each element generates the next. Each element receives strength from the previous one. In this cycle lies the wisdom of support. If a certain element is lacking in some sector of the house, you can strengthen the one that generates it. Not enough fire? Add wood. Not enough metal? Strengthen earth. The system works like a living organism, where each part nourishes another. But there is another cycle, the control cycle, or, as it is sometimes called, the destruction cycle. Although destruction here is not literal, it is more like limitation, restraint. Water extinguishes fire. Fire melts metal. Metal chops wood. Wood depletes earth, taking its juices. Earth absorbs and stops water. This cycle is neither bad nor good. It is necessary for balance. If some element becomes too strong, it needs to be limited by the controlling element. Too much? Fire. In a room? Add water. Too much wood? Bring in some metal. Feng Shui masters spent centuries learning to see these balances, feeling where energy is in excess and where it is lacking. You can start noticing this in your space. Look around you. What colors predominate? What shapes? What materials? Is there balance between elements? Or does one dominate over the rest? There are no right or wrong answers. There is only observation and gradual understanding. The ancients did not choose these 5 elements by chance. They reflect 5 phases of any process: birth and growth, wood, bloom and culmination, fire, maturity and stability, earth, withering and contraction, metal, rest and accumulation, water, and then birth again. This cycle repeats everywhere, in the change of seasons, throughout the day, in a person's life, in any project and endeavor. Understanding this, you begin to see your home as a living being. It breathes. It changes. It goes through its cycles. And your task is not to make it freeze in some ideal form, but to help it flow, transition from one phase to another, maintaining balance and harmony. Each room can have its dominant element. This is natural and correct. The kitchen gravitates toward fire and water, the bedroom toward water and earth, the home office toward metal and wood. It is important not to destroy this spiral inclination, but to support it, strengthen what is already there, and add missing elements for balance. Right now, lying in bed, you are surrounded by elements. Wood in the bed frame or in the floor, metal in the mattress springs or in the lamp, earth in ceramics and stone, water in the dark tones of night outside the window, fire, perhaps, in the soft light of a night lamp or in red decor accents. All 5 elements are here. The question is only in their balance. No need to rush to change anything now. Just notice. Realize. Let this knowledge penetrate you. Like water seeps into the earth, slowly, deeply, and when the time comes to act, you will know what to do. Intuitively, naturally. The 5 elements are not just theory. They are a way of seeing the world, a way of understanding how everything is connected, how one flows into another, how balance supports life and imbalance creates problems. The ancient Chinese used this system not only in Feng Shui. It underlies Chinese medicine. It determines the principles of cooking. It influences art and philosophy. But for our journey, what matters most is understanding how elements work in space, how they create the atmosphere of a home, how they affect those who live in it. And this understanding will deepen with each part of our story. For now, let these 5 forces dance in your imagination. Wood reaches upward. Fire flares and warms. Earth receives and holds. Metal purifies and structures. Water flows and connects. There is another principle without which Feng Shui cannot be understood. A principle older than the 5 elements, older than China itself. This is yin and yang, 2 beginnings from which the world is woven. Dark and light, cold and hot, soft and hard, feminine and masculine, rest and movement. Imagine that ancient symbol, a circle divided by a curved line into 2 parts, black and white, and in each part a small doigt of the opposite color. This image speaks more than 1,000 words. It says that opposites do not fight. They dance. They flow into each other. In the very depths of light, there is a seed of darkness. In the very heart of darkness, a spark of light. Yin is shadow, coolness, silence, depth. It is night, moon, still water. It is a cave, a valley, the northern slope of a mountain. It is the feminine principle, but not in the way modern people understand it. Yin is the ability to receive, to nourish, to protect, to restore. Without yin, rest is impossible. Sleep is impossible. Healing is impossible. Yang is light, warmth, sound, surface. It is day, sun, flowing water. It is the mountaintop, open field, southern slope bathed in light. It is the masculine principle, the ability to act, move, manifest, change the world. Without yang, activity is impossible. Creativity is impossible. Life is impossible. Neither yin nor yang exist in pure form. They are abstractions, ideas. In the real world, there is always a mixture. The question is only in proportions. Day contains shadows within it. Night is lit by stars. The most active person needs rest. The calmest sometimes rises and acts. In your home, yin and yang are present everywhere. They create the atmosphere of each room. They determine how you feel in different places. Why in one corner you want to curl up and read a book, and in another you want to open a window, turn on music, invite friends. Light is yang. The more light in a room, the more yang energy it has. Activity, vigor. South-facing windows bring much yang. North-facing ones bring more yin. Artificial lighting also creates yang, but it differs from sunlight. It can be harsh and sharp, or soft and diffused. Shadow is yin. Dark corners, closed curtains, niches, and alcoves. These are places where you can hide, rest from the world, restore strength. Too much shadow creates depression, stagnation, a feeling of heaviness. But without shadow, deep rest is impossible. High ceilings are yang. They create a sense of spaciousness, freedom, possibilities. Low ceilings are yin. They create coziness, security, but can feel oppressive if there is too much. Cathedrals were built with high vaults to raise the spirit to the heavens. Caves where hermits meditated had low vaults to turn attention inward. Straight lines are yang. They direct movement, accelerate energy, create clarity and order. Curved lines are yin. They slow down, soothe, create a sense of naturalness and organicity. Nature does not like straight lines. Rivers flow in curves. Trees grow crooked. Mountains rise in waves. Hard surfaces are yang. Stone, metal, glass. They reflect energy, create clear boundaries. Soft surfaces are yin. Fabric, carpet, pillows. They absorb energy, create a sense of comfort and safety. Bright colors are yang. Red, orange, yellow. They excite, attract attention, energize. Muted colors are yin. Blue, purple, gray. They calm, deepen, help concentrate. Movement is yang. People walking around the room. Pets. A working television. Fan. fountain. Everything that moves brings yang energy. Stillness is yin. Motionless objects. Silence. Empty spaces. Places where nothing happens. Sound is yang. Music. Conversations. Street noise. Ticking clock. All this activates space. Silence is yin. It allows you to hear yourself, feel depth, connect with the inner world. Now think about your bedroom. What balance of yin and yang does it need? The bedroom is a place for sleep, for rest, for recovery. It needs more yin. Dim light or darkness, soft fabrics, calm colors, silence. If there is too much yang in the bedroom, too much light, activity, bright colors, sleep will be shallow. Rest will be incomplete. And the living room? This is a place for communication, for activity, for life. It needs more yang, more light, more space, bright accents. But here too, balance is needed. If there is too much yang, people will feel uncomfortable, unable to relax, looking for an excuse to leave. The kitchen combines both energies. The stove fire is powerful, yang. Water in the sink is yin. They need to be balanced. Do not place the stove directly opposite the sink, so that fire and water do not conflict. Between them should be a neutral element, a work surface, wood or stone. The home office requires a special balance, enough yang for activity and productivity, but not so much that thoughts scatter and concentration disappears. Good light, a clean desk, but also a soft chair. The opportunity for short pauses and rest. The bathroom is the territory of water. Yin naturally predominates, but for morning awakening, it is good to add some yang. Bright light above the mirror, white or light surfaces. A contrast with the evening bath, when candles and dim light create a completely yin atmosphere for relaxation. You can start feeling this balance right now. The room you are lying in. What is its atmosphere? Yin or yang? What predominates? Light or shadow? Hard or soft? Straight or curved? Quiet or noisy? If you are lying in darkness, preparing for sleep, yin predominates. And this is right. This is what is needed for rest. But if you feel heaviness, depression, perhaps there is too much yin even for sleep. A small night light may help, or light bedding, or a plant that will bring living energy. The balance of yin and yang changes throughout the day. In the morning, more yang is needed to wake up and start acting. In the evening, more yin is needed to calm down and prepare for sleep. A good home allows these transitions to happen naturally. It has places for activity and places for rest, places for communication, and places for solitude. Ancient Feng Shui masters paid attention to the landscape around the house. Mountains behind gave protection. Yin. Open space in front gave opportunities. Yang. Water on the right carried one energy. A road on the left carried another. They searched for the ideal place where these forces balanced each other. Today, we cannot always choose the landscape, but we can work with what is inside. We can add yin where it is lacking, and yang where there is too much rest. We can create balance in our small world, and this balance will support us day after day. Yin and yang are not static. They are constantly moving. Day turns to night, summer to winter, inhale to exhale. This is the breath of life itself, and your home can breathe with you, expand and contract, brighten and darken, come alive and quiet down. Let yourself feel this right now, the breath of space around you. Yin enters with each exhale as you relax ever deeper. Yang is present in the warmth of your body, in the beating of your heart, in the life that flows through your veins. Two forces embracing each other, two halves of one whole. From the dance of yin and yang, something greater is born. When two forces meet and intertwine, they create a pattern, a map, a scheme of the universe. Ancient sages saw this pattern and called it Bagua, 8 trigrams, 8 directions, 8 doors to different areas of life. Legend tells that the first sage, Fuxi, sat on the bank of the great Yellow River. He looked at water and sky, at mountains and valleys, at birds and fish, at everything that moves and everything that rests. And at some moment he saw, not with his eyes, but with something deeper. He saw how the world is arranged, how from unity duality is born, how from duality comes four, how from four comes eight. And he drew the first trigrams. A trigram is 3 lines placed one above another. Lines are of 2 types. A solid line means yang. A broken line divided in the middle means yin. 3 lines give 8 possible combinations. 8 ways to connect heaven and earth. 8 faces of reality. Imagine a circle, a huge circle encompassing all the space around you. In the center is you, and at the edges of the circle, at 8 cardinal directions, are 8 sectors. Each sector is governed by its own trigram. Each sector is connected to a certain area of life, to a certain family member, to a certain season, to a certain element and color. This is Bagua, a map that Feng Shui masters overlay on a home to understand how space affects different spheres of its inhabitants' lives. Let us begin with the south. In classical Chinese Bagua, south is placed at the top because the Chinese traditionally oriented themselves facing the sun, toward warmth, toward light. South is the direction of fire. Here reigns the trigram Li, meaning radiance, clarity. 3 lines, solid, broken, solid. Fire on the outside, but emptiness inside. Like a candle flame, bright at the edges, but hollow at the center. The southern sector of the home is responsible for fame and reputation, for how others see you, for recognition of your merits, for the clarity of your vision and the strength of your spirit. If this sector is strong and active, people notice you, respect you, acknowledge your achievements. If it is weakened, you may remain invisible, even when you deserve attention. Let us move to the southwest. Here lives the trigram Kun, pure yin. 3 broken lines, one above another. This is earth, receptivity, motherhood. The southwest sector is connected to relationships, to love, to partnership, to how you connect with other people on a deep level. In a Chinese family, this sector was associated with the mother, with the feminine principle that receives, nourishes, unites. If you want to improve relationships, pay attention to the southwest part of your home. What is there? Is this place well maintained and beautiful, or forgotten and cluttered? Moving further around the circle, we come to the west. Here rules the trigram Dewey, the lake. Two solid lines at the bottom, a broken one on top. Firmness at the foundation, openness to the sky. Like a lake with a solid bottom, but a surface open to rain and wind. The western sector is responsible for children and creativity, for everything you create, for projects that are born from you. As children are born from parents, for joy and play, for the ability to enjoy life. This sector is connected to younger daughters in the family, to autumn, to evening time when the day's work is done, and you can allow yourself rest. In the northwest lives the trigram Qian, pure yang. 3 solid lines. Heaven, creative power. Father, authority. This is the sector of helpers and travel. People who appear in your life to help. Mentors, friends, those who open doors before you. The northwest sector is connected to masculine strength, to the head of the family, to authority. If you are seeking support in life, if you need mentors or useful connections, pay attention to this part of the house. Strengthen it. Make it beautiful and respectable. In the north is located the trigram Kan, water. A broken line on top, solid in the middle, broken at the bottom. Danger on the outside, but strength within. Like water in a deep gorge, soft in appearance, but carrying enormous power. The northern sector governs career and life path. Not just work, but calling. The direction that carries you through life as a river carries a boat. This sector is connected to winter, to night, to the middle sun in a traditional family. If your career has stalled, look at the northern part of the house. In the northeast, we encounter the trigram Gen, the mountain. A solid line on top, 2 broken ones below. Stillness, stopping, contemplation. The mountain does not move, but from its peak, one can see far. The northeast sector is responsible for knowledge and wisdom, for learning, for spiritual development, for the ability to stop and reflect. In a traditional family, this is the place of the youngest son, the one who is still learning. If you need clarity of thought, if you are studying something new, if you seek spiritual growth, pay attention to this corner. In the east shines the trigram Zhen, thunder, a solid line at the bottom, two broken ones above, force that rises from the earth, awakening, spring growth, the first cry of a newborn. The eastern sector is connected to health and family, to ancestors, to roots, to where you came from. This sector is governed by wood, the time of spring, morning energy. The eldest son in a traditional family was responsible for the connection with ancestors, for continuing the lineage. If health has faltered, if family relationships are strained, look at the eastern part of the house. And finally, the southeast, the trigram Exun, wind or wood, a broken line at the bottom, two solid ones above, penetrating force, softness that finds its way into any crack, like wind that penetrates everywhere, like roots that push apart stones. The southeast sector is responsible for wealth and abundance, for prosperity, for how resources flow into your life. The eldest daughter in a traditional family brought a dowry, increased the family's fortune. If you want to improve your financial situation, the southeast is your key sector. 8 sectors, 8 directions, 8 areas of life. And all this is present in your home right now. Career in the north, relationships in the southwest, wealth in the southeast, health in the east, creativity in the west, helpers in the northwest, knowledge in the northeast, fame in the south, and in the center, where all lines intersect, your health and balance. How do you use this map? Feng Shui masters take a floor plan and overlay the Bagua grid on it. Determine where each sector is located. See what is placed there. A bathroom in the wealth sector. This may mean that money flows away like water down the drain. A bedroom in the fame sector. Perhaps too much external attention interferes with rest. But do not be alarmed. Feng Shui is not a sentence, but a guide to action. Any sector can be strengthened. Any problem can be softened. Add corresponding elements, colors, symbols. Remove what weakens the sector. Bring in what supports it. There are 2 ways to overlay. Bagua on a floor plan, traditional by compass, when sectors are determined by exact geographical directions, and simplified Western, when the map is overlaid relative to the front door. Both methods have their merits. Both work. It is more important to understand the principle than to argue about details. The principle is simple. Space is not uniform. Different parts of the house carry different energy, affect different spheres of life, and by consciously working with these zones, you can improve the corresponding areas of your existence. Right now, you do not need to do anything. No need to get up and rearrange furniture. It is enough just to know, just to realize that the space around you is alive and diverse, that each corner carries its own meaning, that each direction opens its own door. Imagine your house from above, as a bird looks at the earth. Do you see its shape? Do you see the rooms? Now overlay this octagon of Bagua on it. Let it shimmer with soft light. Let each sector glow with its own color. South with red, southwest with pink, west with white, northwest with gray, north with blue, northeast with yellow, east with green, southeast with purple. This is the map of your home, the map of your life, the map of possibilities that await you in every corner. No need to hurry. Let this knowledge seep into you as water seeps into the earth, slowly, deeply. And when the time comes, you will know what to do. Bagua is not just a tool. It is a way of seeing the world, a way of understanding how the whole is composed of parts, how 8 becomes 1, how different directions merge into one life, into your life. When ancient masters stepped out of their dwelling and looked at the surrounding world, they did not just see mountains and rivers. They saw living beings, spirits of the earth that had taken the form of landscape. And chief among them was the dragon. The dragon in Chinese tradition is not a monster to be defeated. It is a benevolent being, a guardian, a bearer of good fortune. And when a Feng Shui master looked at a mountain ridge winding across the land, he saw in it the body of a dragon, curves turns, a spine of peaks, veins of streams, breath of mist. This is the form school, the most ancient direction of Feng Shui, based on reading the landscape, on understanding how earth forms affect the flow of qi, how mountains protect and rivers nourish, how some places attract beneficial energy, while others scatter it without a trace. The ideal place for a home the ancients described thus: behind should be a mountain, not too close so as not to oppress, not too far so as to protect. This is the black turtle, the northern guardian. It gives support, backing, a sense of safety behind you. In front should be open space, the bright hall, as they called it, a place where energy comes, where you can see far, where possibilities stretch to the horizon. Here lives the red phoenix, the southern guardian, the bird that rises from the ashes, symbol of fame, recognition, the future. To the left of the house, if standing facing south, should be a higher hill. This is the green dragon, the eastern guardian. It brings luck, prosperity, masculine strength. To the right, a lower hill. This is the white tiger, the western guardian. It protects, but its energy is dangerous if too strong. The tiger should be lower than the dragon, so as not to dominate. Imagine a chair with a high back and armrests. The ideal place for a home is sitting in such a chair. The back protects from behind. The armrests embrace from the sides. And in front, open space where you can see everything that comes. Masters of the form school wandered the mountains for hours, studying the curves of ridges. They searched for the place where the dragon stops, where its energy gathers to a point. Such a place was called Feng Shui, the dragon's lair. Here, qi was the strongest, the most favorable, and this is exactly where one should build a home or place an ancestral tomb. They looked at the shape of mountains. Sharp peaks carried fire energy. Flat summits carried earth energy. Rounded ones carried metal energy. Wavy ones carried water energy. Tall and narrow ones carried wood energy. And each form affected those who lived nearby. Water was no less important. Rivers and streams carried qi through the landscape, but it mattered how they flowed. A gently curved river, wrapping around a house like an arm embracing a child, is a blessing. A straight river rushing past carries energy away. A river aimed directly at the house, like an arrow, brings misfortune. Where a river bends, on the inner side of the curve, chi gathers and accumulates. This is a good place. On the outer side of the bend, water erodes the bank. Energy disperses. This is a bad place. Simple observation of nature. But over thousands of years, it became a precise science. Modern cities are far from these ideals. We live among concrete and glass. Mountains are replaced by skyscrapers. Rivers are hidden in pipes. But the principles remain. A tall building behind your home can serve as the turtle. A park in front can be the bright hall. Neighboring houses can play the role of dragon and tiger. Roads in modern Feng Shui replace rivers. Through them flows the energy of the city. A busy street passing by carries much chi. A quiet alley carries less. A T intersection aimed at your door is like an arrow. A roundabout is like a whirlpool. Understanding this, one can choose the best place to live even in the concrete jungle. The form school teaches you to see, to notice shapes around you, to feel how they affect you. You do not need to become an expert. Just start paying attention. What buildings surround your home? What protects you from behind? What opens up in front? Is there balance between left and right? But forms alone are not enough. Ancient masters wanted greater precision. They wanted to measure, calculate, predict, and they created an instrument that allowed them to do this with astonishing detail. This instrument is called the low pan. The low pan is a compass, but not a simple compass with one needle. It is a most complex device consisting of concentric rings, each carrying its own information. Trigrams, directions, elements, heavenly stems and earthly branches, constellations, numbers, all intertwined in a unified system. In the center of the low pan is a magnetic needle. It points south, as is customary in Chinese tradition. Around it are rings that can be rotated. The master overlays the compass on the floor plan. aligns it with cardinal directions, and reads information from each ring, like a book written in the language of symbols. This is the compass school, later and more complex than the form school. It works with precise degrees, with mathematical formulas, with cycles of time. It considers not only space, but also time. When the house was built, when the residents moved in, what year, month, day it is now. One of the most famous systems of the compass school is called flying stars, or Xuan Kong. It is based on the idea that the energy of space changes over time. What was favorable 20 years ago may become unfavorable now, and vice versa. The stars in this system are not celestial bodies. They are numbers from 1 to 9, each carrying its own energy. They fly through the sectors of the house, changing positions with each period. Every 20 years, a new era begins. Each year, each month, each day brings its own changes. A flying stars. Master compiles a map of the house, determines which stars are in each sector, sees how they interact. A favorable star in the bedroom, an unfavorable one in the living room. One needs to be activated and the other neutralized. For an ordinary person, all this may seem too complicated, and that is true. The compass school requires many years of study. But even without deep knowledge, one can understand the main thing. Directions matter. Time matters. Space is not static. It lives and changes. There is a simple rule you can use. Determine your favorable direction by birth date. The Ba Jai system divides people into Eastern and Western groups. For the Eastern group, East, Southeast, South, and North are favorable. For the Western group, West, Northwest, Southwest, and Northeast. The bed should be positioned with the headboard in one of the favorable directions. The desk is better placed facing a favorable direction. But do not turn this into an obsession. Feng Shui is not a prison, but a helper. If it is impossible to turn the bed in the right direction, it is not the end of the world. There are many other ways to improve space. Balance of elements, proper lighting, cleanliness, and order. All this works together. The two schools, form and compass, do not contradict each other. they complement each other. A good master uses both. First looks at forms, feels the energy of the place, then takes the compass, measures, calculates, and finds a solution that works. Your home begins with a door, more precisely with the main entrance. The ancients called it the mouth of the house. Through it, qi enters. Through it, you enter. And the first impression you get when crossing the threshold sets the tone for the entire house. Think about your front door. What does it look like from outside? Is it visible from the street or hidden around a corner? Clean and well-maintained, or peeling and forgotten? Is it easy for a first-time guest to find? All this affects how qi finds its way into your home. The ideal entrance should be noticeable, inviting, proportional to the size of the house. Too small a door limits the flow of energy. Too large disperses it. The door should open inward, letting qi into the house. If it opens outward, energy is pushed away. In front of the door, there should be space, a place where qi can gather before entering. If the door opens directly onto a wall or fence, energy is blocked. If onto stairs leading down, it rolls away. If onto a sharp corner of a neighboring building, it receives a blow. Such blows are called sha-qi, poison arrows. Any sharp corner directed at your door carries this negative energy. A building corner, a roof edge, a straight road, even power lines. Everything aimed directly at the entrance requires protection. A hedge, a screen, a bagua mirror reflecting negativity. Just beyond the door begins the entryway. This is a transitional space between the outer world and the inner, a buffer zone. It should not be cramped and dark. Otherwise, qi will get stuck at the entrance, unable to spread through the house. A good entryway is bright and spacious. There is room to stop. Take off shoes, catch your breath, leave the cares of the day at the threshold. A mirror in the entryway is useful. It expands space and reflects negative energy, but it should not hang directly opposite the door, or it will reflect good qi back to the street. Even more important is what you see when entering the house. The first image, the first impression. If it is a blank wall, energy is blocked. If a toilet, well-being flows down the drain. If the kitchen, the thoughts of all residents will be only about food. If the bedroom, you will want to immediately lie down and sleep. Best of all is if your gaze upon entering falls on something beautiful and symbolically positive. A painting, a plant, a vase of flowers, something that lifts the mood and invites you to go further. Something that says, welcome. A long, narrow corridor from the entrance deep into the house is a problem. Through it, qi accelerates like wind in a gorge, becomes too fast, too sharp. To slow it down, add obstacles. A rug on the floor, pictures on the walls, a plant in a pot, anything that will make energy slow down and flow smoothly. If the front door is directly opposite a back door, or large window, qi flies straight through without lingering. This is called through flow. The house receives energy, but cannot hold it. The solution is to put something between them. A screen, a bookshelf, a large plant, something that will break the direct line. Your front door is your face turned to the world. It shows how you relate to life. Take care of it. Paint it if the paint is peeling. Oil the hinges if they squeak. Put a nice mat. Hang the house number so luck can find you. Small things that say to space and to yourself, I am ready to receive good things. From the entrance, energy spreads throughout the house, and the main place it strives toward is the heart of the home, the central room where family gathers together. In a traditional Chinese house, this was the ancestors' hall. In a modern home, it is usually the living room. The living room is a meeting place, a place for communication, a place where the energy of the home gathers and mixes with the energies of all inhabitants. A good living room supports this function. It invites, unites, creates a sense of community. The arrangement of furniture in the living room determines how people interact. Sofas and chairs arranged in a circle or square encourage communication, facing each other, close but not cramped, with a common center where a coffee table can be placed. If seating is lined up in a row facing the television, communication suffers. Everyone looks in one direction. No one sees each other's faces. The television becomes the center, not the people. This is not bad for watching movies, but not ideal for daily family life. The sofa should stand with its back to the wall, not to a door or window. The person sitting on it should be able to see the entrance to the room. This is a basic Feng Shui principle that works everywhere. When you see what is coming, you feel safe. When the door is behind you, part of your attention is always occupied by anxiety. The center of the living room is the center of the house. Here, energy should be calm and stable. Do not clutter it with furniture. Do not make it a pass-through zone. The center is a point of balance. It can be empty or occupied by a beautiful rug or a low table with a vase of flowers. Lighting in the living room should be multi-level. General light for active time, dimmed for rest, accent for creating atmosphere. Avoid a single bright source in the center of the ceiling. It creates too much yang, too much tension. Colors in the living room depend on its location in the house and on what atmosphere you want to create. For communication and activity, warm tones are suitable. For quiet evenings, cool ones. For balance, a mix of both. Do not be afraid of color, but do not overdo it. 1 or 2 accent shades on a neutral background usually work best. Living plants bring wood energy into the living room. Growth, life, freshness. But choose healthy plants with rounded leaves. Spiky ones, like cacti, carry aggressive energy. Dried and wilting ones carry the energy of death. Better no plant than a dying one. The living room is the face of your inner life, a place where you receive not only guests, but life itself. Make it beautiful, cozy, inviting, and it will respond to you with harmony and warmth. But there is a place even more important for your well-being, a place where you spend 1/3 of your life, a place where the body recovers and the mind processes the experiences of the day. This is the bedroom. In sleep, you are most vulnerable. The body is relaxed. Defenses are down. The energy of space affects you directly, without the filters of waking consciousness. That is why bedroom feng shui is so important. That is why masters pay special attention to it. The main object in the bedroom is the bed. Its placement determines the quality of sleep and, consequently, the quality of life. There are several simple rules that always work. The bed should be positioned so that lying down, you can see the door to the room, not directly opposite the door. That is too aggressive. Qi entering the room would hit you directly, but so that with one glance you can take in the entrance. A diagonal placement often turns out to be ideal. The headboard of the bed should stand against a wall. A solid, reliable wall without a window. This creates a sense of support and protection. A bed in the middle of the room, or with the headboard against a window, leaves you without support. Sleep will be restless. Rest incomplete. Above your head, there should be nothing heavy. No shelves, no pictures in massive frames, no ceiling beams. All this creates pressure on the sleeper. Subconscious anxiety. Even if you are not aware of it, the body feels a threat from above. A mirror in the bedroom requires caution. If it reflects the bed, this can cause anxiety, as if someone is watching you in your sleep. If a mirror is unavoidable, cover it at night with fabric, or position it so that lying down you do not see your reflection. Electronics in the bedroom is a modern problem. Televisions, computers, phones charging. They all emit electromagnetic fields. They all carry yang energy, activity, wakefulness. The ideal bedroom is free of electronics. If this is impossible, at least move them away from the bed and turn off at night everything that can be turned off. Bedroom colors should be calm. Yin predominates here over yang. Soft, muted tones, earthy shades for stability, blue for calm, pink for romance. Avoid bright red and orange. They excite and interfere with falling asleep. The air in the bedroom should be fresh. Air out the room before sleep. But do not sleep in a draft. Qi rushing between an open window and door will bring not rest, but illness. The bedroom should be only a bedroom, not an office, not a gym, not a storage room. If it is impossible to dedicate a separate room for work, at least separate the work zone from the sleeping area with a screen, a curtain, a bookshelf, so that lying in bed you do not see piles of papers and a computer screen. Order in the bedroom matters more than anywhere else. Chaos under the bed, clutter on nightstands, clothes scattered on chairs. All this creates anxiety at a subconscious level. A clean, tidy space allows the mind to let go of the day's cares. Let yourself feel your bedroom, the room you are in now. How does it feel? Like a temple of rest or a thoroughfare? What can be changed to make it more peaceful? No need to answer now. Just notice. Remember. And when the time comes, you will know what to do. There is a place in the home that ancient Chinese considered the source of family well-being. A place where fire meets water, where raw becomes cooked, where nourishment takes form. This is the kitchen. In traditional Feng Shui, the kitchen governs health and wealth. Health, because here food is prepared that nourishes the body. Wealth, because in old times, prosperity was measured by how full the pantry was, how hot the hearth burned. The central element of the kitchen is the stove. Fire, source of transformation. Its placement is of great importance. The one who cooks should stand in a position of power, not with back to the door, not facing a wall. There should be the ability to see who enters, to feel like the master of the space. If the stove is positioned so that the cook stands with back to the entrance, this can be fixed with a mirror. A small mirror above or beside the stove, allowing you to see the space behind. It also visually increases the number of burners, which symbolizes abundance. Fire and water should not conflict directly. The stove and sink should not stand directly opposite each other or side by side. Between them is needed a neutral element, a work surface, wood or stone. Wood feeds fire, and this is good. Stone, as earth, stabilizes. The refrigerator also carries water energy, cold and moisture. It too is better placed away from the stove, diagonally or in another corner of the kitchen. This way, elements will not suppress each other. The kitchen should be clean. This seems obvious, but many neglect it. A dirty stove, unwashed dishes, cluttered surfaces. All this blocks the flow of chai. All this tells the space that abundance is not valued here, and it leaves. The stove should work. All burners, all functions. A broken stove is a symbol of fading prosperity. Fix it or replace it. Do not allow the source of fire to be feeble. Sharp objects in the kitchen should be put away. Knives in a block or drawer, not in plain sight, not pointing into the space. Exposed knives create sha-qi, cutting energy. It harms relationships in the family. Light in the kitchen should be bright. Yang for activity, for work, for transforming food, but not harsh. Natural light is ideal, supplemented by good artificial lighting for evening hours. The kitchen is connected to the health and family sector in the east, and to the wealth sector in the southeast. If your kitchen is located in one of these sectors, this strengthens its positive influence. If in an unfavorable sector, you can compensate with proper arrangement and symbols. Water flows through the home, not only in the kitchen. The bathroom and toilet are places where water enters and leaves, where cleansing happens literally, and where energy can easily leave the house if precautions are not taken. The ancient Chinese did not have modern plumbing, but the principles they formulated apply to our bathrooms too. The main rule: water symbolizes wealth, and when it flows down the drain, prosperity can go with it. This does not mean you need to stop flushing. It means you need to consciously relate to water flows in the home. Close the toilet lid. Do not leave the plug in the sink when not in use. Fix leaking faucets. Every drop that drips in vain is leaking energy. The door to the bathroom and toilet is better kept closed, especially if they are located in important sectors of the house. Bathroom in the wealth sector? Keep the door closed, toilet lid down, and add elements that compensate for leakage. A plant. A beautiful picture, something that raises energy. The bathroom should not be visible from the front door. This creates a connection between how qi enters and how it leaves. Too direct a connection. If the layout does not allow avoiding this, use a screen or curtain to break the line of sight. Mirrors in the bathroom are useful. They expand space and reflect negative energy, but they should not reflect the toilet. That doubles negativity instead of neutralizing it. The bathroom should be clean and bright. Mold, dirt, dim lighting create stagnant, unhealthy energy. Good ventilation, bright light, regular cleaning. All this turns the bathroom from a problem zone into a place of cleansing and renewal. Add living plants to the bathroom if there is enough light They transform water energy into wood energy. Do not let it just drain away, but direct it into growth and development. Ferns and bamboo tolerate humidity and shade well. For those who work from home, or for anyone who wants career success, it is important to properly organize Workspace, the place where you create, where you make decisions, where you build your future. The main element of Workspace is the desk, your command center. Its placement determines how confident you feel, how effectively you work, how successfully you advance. The power position is when you sit facing the door, but not directly opposite it, diagonally, with a solid wall behind your back. This way, you see everyone who enters. Control the space. Feel like the master of the situation. Sitting with your back to the door is the worst option. Subconsciously, you are always on alert, waiting for someone to sneak up. This is exhausting, distracting, reduces productivity. If it is impossible to move the desk, hang a mirror to see the entrance. Sitting facing a wall is little better. You stare at an obstacle. This limits thinking, narrows perspective. If there are no other options, hang on the wall a picture with deep perspective, a landscape with a distant horizon, something that opens space, at least visually. A window behind your back is also undesirable. No support, no protection. Energy enters from behind and throws you off course. If the desk stands by a window, let the window be to the side. Light falls from left or right, not blinding and not creating glare on the screen. The work desk should be large enough, spacious, so there is room for ideas, for projects, for growth. A cramped, cluttered desk symbolizes a cramped, cluttered life. Free up space. Remove excess. Leave only what is needed right now. Order on the desk is order in the head. This does not mean sterile emptiness. It means organization. Everything in its place can find what is needed in seconds. No chaos of papers where important documents drown. Computer and electronics create much yang energy. This is good for work, but can be tiring. Take breaks. Step away from the desk. Change. Focus. Do not let yourself be tied to the screen all day. Add something living to the desk. A small plant, a flower in a vase. This brings wood energy, growth, development, compensates for the metal energy of technology, creates balance. If you work from home, it is important to separate workspace from living space, physically or at least symbolically. So work does not penetrate into rest. So rest does not interfere with work. Clear boundaries that help both. Beyond the walls of the house lies another space that affects your life. The garden, the plot, the yard, even a balcony with flowers. Nature surrounding your dwelling is an extension of your inner world. Chinese gardens are not just places for walks. They are three-dimensional paintings, philosophical reflections expressed in stone, water, and plants. Each element is chosen deliberately, each stone placed with intention. A Feng Shui garden begins with understanding that nature is not uniform. Different parts of the plot carry different energy. The sunny side is more yang, the shady more yin. High places accumulate energy. Low ones gather it. Water in the garden is a powerful tool. A pond or fountain brings this energy of wealth and movement. But water must be clean and moving. Stagnant, dirty water is worse than no water. The direction of flow also matters. Water should flow toward the house, not away from it. Stones in the Chinese garden represent mountains, stability, support. Large stones create a sense of rootedness. Small ones add texture and interest. Groups of odd numbers, 3 or 5, look more natural. Plants are the breath of the garden. They purify air, produce oxygen, attract birds and insects, create life where without them there would be only concrete and stone. Choose plants suited to your climate. Healthy, well-maintained, pleasing to the eye. Avoid poisonous plants near the entrance. Avoid thorny bushes where people walk. Avoid trees growing directly opposite the door, blocking entry. But do not leave the entrance bare either. Flowers on both sides of the path invite and guide. Paths in the garden should curve. A straight path is an arrow, shachi. A curved one is a river, carrying beneficial energy. Let the way from gate to door meander. Make you slow down. Look around. Enjoy the garden. Garden lighting extends it into evening. Soft light along paths. Trees lit from below. A lantern by the entrance. All this creates magic after sunset, turns dark corners into places of beauty. A fence or hedge defines the boundaries of your space. They should be whole, without holes and gaps. But not prison walls. A living hedge is friendlier than a stone wall. A wooden fence warmer than metal. If you have no garden, there is a balcony, or a windowsill, or simply the view from the window. Work with what you have. A few pots of flowers on the balcony is already a garden. Herbs on the kitchen windowsill is a connection with nature. Even a picture with a landscape brings green energy inside. We have traveled a long path from the ancient mountains where Feng Shui was born, through the flow of qi and the dance of elements, through Bagua and the schools of form and compass, through every room of the house and the garden beyond its walls. It is time to bring it all together. Time to understand what works and what does not. Feng Shui, over thousands of years, has accumulated many superstitions, rules passed from generation to generation, losing their original meaning, rituals that turned into empty gestures, figurines and talismans attributed with magical power. Let us be honest. A three-legged toad with a coin in its mouth will not bring wealth. A dragon figurine will not protect from misfortune. A red ribbon on a wallet will not multiply money. If it were all so simple, everyone would long ago be rich and happy. But this does not mean Feng Shui does not work. It means something else works. Not the magic of objects, but the psychology of space. Not supernatural forces, but quite explainable influences. When you clear clutter, you are not just moving things around. You are freeing the mind from chaos. Visual noise creates mental noise. Clean space creates clear thinking. When you sit with your back to the wall and face to the door, you do not receive magical protection. You simply feel safer. Millions of years of evolution taught us to protect our backs and watch entrances. It is in our genes. When you add plants to a room, they do not pump the space with mystical qi. They purify air. produce oxygen, add humidity. Green color soothes the eyes. Caring for a living thing reduces stress. When you open curtains and let in light, you are not letting in yang energy from Feng Shui books. You are letting in sun, vitamin D, the rhythm of day and night, everything your body needs to function normally. Modern science confirms much of what the ancients knew intuitively. The connection between space and psyche, the influence of light on mood, the importance of nature for health, the role of order in cognitive function. Feng Shui is not magic. It is conscious attention to space. It is attention to how your environment affects you. It is a set of principles tested over millennia, adapted for modern life. What works? Cleanliness and order work. Good light works. Fresh air works. Conveniently placed furniture works. Beauty that pleases the eye works. Symbolism that reminds you of your goals and values works. What does not work? Rules for the sake of rules do not work. Blind following of traditions without understanding their meaning does not work. Buying talismans instead of making real changes does not work. Fear of breaking some rule and bringing misfortune does not work. Live consciously. Look at your space. Feel how it affects you. Change what hinders. Strengthen what helps. Do not look for magical solutions. Do not believe those who promise miracles for money. Your home is your extension. It reflects you, and you reflect it. This connection works both ways. Change the space, and you will change a little. Change inwardly, and the space around will begin to change. Feng Shui is not a destination. It is a path, a way of walking through life with open eyes, noticing beauty and ugliness, harmony and imbalance, flow and stagnation, and taking small steps toward better. You have already taken the first step. You learned about wind and water, about the invisible river of Qi, about the dance of elements and the balance of yin and yang, about 8 directions and the map of life, about each room and its secrets. Now knowledge lives within you. It will work even when you are not thinking about it. You will begin to notice, to feel, to understand without words This is true mastery, not in formulas and rules, but in living contact with space. Close your eyes. Feel your body on the bed. Feel the room around you. Walls, ceiling, floor, furniture, air, light or darkness, silence or soft sounds of night. All this is your world, your small cosmos, and you are at its center, not as a point, but as a heart, pulsing, alive, connected to everything around. Wind and water, Feng and Shui, two simple forces from which the world is woven. They flow through you right now, with every breath, with every heartbeat. You are part of this flow, have been, and always will be. Let yourself dissolve in this flow. Release tension. Release thoughts. Release the day that has passed. Tomorrow will be new. Now there is only night, only peace, only slow gliding into sleep. You are home. You are safe. Space embraces you as a river embraces its banks and carries you gently, smoothly into deep, peaceful sleep. Sleep peacefully. Rest. And may the harmony of wind and water be with you.